I'm Jennifer McDonald from the OSCC 55 Plus. And this week for my video, I am taking you on a tour of my happy place, the most beautiful place on earth in my opinion, and it's Echo Provincial Park. We've been here for the last 2 weeks on holidays, and I'm going to take you for a little bit of a tour. It's over 20,000 acres, so I won't be able to take you on a tour of all of the park, but I'll be able to get to show you some of the main highlights. Highway 41 runs right through the park, with the largest section of the park being to the west side of Highway 41 and the smallest section where the campers are predominantly to the east side, backing onto Lake Masna. So that's where we're going to go. You're going to come off Highway 41, you stop at the first gate, tell them what you're here for, whether it's for the day or to camp. You get one of their papers that tells you all about the park. And here we go. So we're just walking off of the Highway 41 where you come in, and I'm going to show you the first gate that you come to. There's the first gate. So you would check in there. So if you're camping on the west side of Highway 41, you would check in there to go. That's where also all of the paddle-in campsites are. They're all down there on Joe Perry Lake. Beautiful, about 10 minutes drive on the other side of the highway westbound. And if you're camping in the Masna campground, then you just keep going straight. Here we are, we're headed down to the second gate where you register for your campsite. If you're here for the day, you just come up the road and then you turn right to go down to the beach that you use for the day. There's the woodlot. This here is my favorite road in the world. It's so calm and peaceful. I like to walk the dog, and it just reminds me that I'm on vacation. Even Lucy loves this road. She hangs her head out and lets her ears fly. So in 1900, right here where you can see these trees that are all perfectly planted, there stood an inn. And it was owned by a Methodist couple, and the inn was for rich people to come and spend their holidays. It was right on the lake, on the beautiful Masna Lake. And in 1910, it was purchased by Flora MacDonald Dennison, who purchased the inn and turned it into quite the opposite. She turned it into an artistic colony. And what she did was she had artists and poets and things like that come and spend time at the inn. The group of 7 painters were regulars here at the inn. Flora was a huge fan of Walt Whitman, and she had an honorarium put onto the Masna Rock for Walt Whitman. And in 1936, the inn was struck by lightning and burnt to the ground. So Flora MacDonald Dennison, she left all of this property to the Ontario Parks, to the government, and it was turned into what we now know as Echo Provincial Park. So this is the dedication plaque of the park. It became a Echo Provincial Park in 1965. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words. This to me is priceless. This is the famous Echo Masna Rock. The highest point of this rock stands 300 feet tall, and the Masna Lake is the deepest lake in Ontario other than the Great Lakes, which is 475 feet deep at its deepest points. So people rent canoes and the boats go up and down. You can see the canoes out there, how little they are in comparison with the rock. It is quite high, it's higher when you're out there. The rock is really important to the Indigenous peoples. There's a lot of Indigenous pictographs and paintings along the wall that you can see that were done hundreds and hundreds of years ago. There is the inscription to Walt Whitman out there as well on the rock, as well as Flora Dennison was cremated back before cremation was legal in Canada. She had her body smuggled to Buffalo, cremated and smuggled back, and it is placed at the bottom of the lake under the Walt Whitman tribute. But you'll see, this is called the Narrows where we are, and the boats come through. The Narrows separate Lower Masna and Upper Masna. Lots of boaters, lots of boating traffic. Really, really beautiful. This here, this spot, this is my favorite spot in the whole planet. This is just, I'm so at peace. The scenery's beautiful, the people are friendly. It's so wonderful. Hi there. So we are in our canoe with our electric motor. I'm not paddling, and we are paddling. We're canoeing down the edge of the big Mazenod Rock, and I'm going to turn this around in just a second, and I'm going to show you all of its beauty. So there's the rock. How high is the rock, Danny?
At its highest peak, it's 300 feet.
300 feet. It goes right along. This is called Turtle Rock, and the reason it's called Turtle Rock is it looks like a turtle's head a little bit coming out with the shell, the rock being the shell, and the turtle is strong and can hold the weight on its back. So it's really popular with the indigenous community. So here we go. And how deep is this lake, Danny?
At its deepest point, it's 475 feet.
475 feet.
Which makes it, I believe, the deepest lake in Ontario next to the Great Lakes.
Correct. So we're going along the edge of the rock, but what you can see behind me is there's some walking campsites over there. And there's North Beach over here, somewhere my feet. And all along there, all behind me, the trees, that's the Provincial Park. It's really beautiful. Here we are, we're still going down the rock. It's just beautiful. So Flora McDonald, who was the owner of the inn and all of this property that Echo Provincial Park is on, was a very huge fan of Walt Whitman, the poet. And she had dedicated, I'm going to show you in just a second, an honorary, what do you call it, Danny? Memoriam to Walt Whitman because she loved him so much. So I'm going to show you that. So if you go to the visitor center, they talk about some of the cedar trees that are coming out of this rock. And they say that some of these trees are as old as 1,000 years old. They don't grow much bigger than this. They don't grow big, but they have been there for so long. And there's many of them throughout the rock. We are on the other side of the rock. You can see where the land almost touches the rock. That's the narrows of the Mazenod Lake. And there's a path along here that goes right into the park. There are a lot of walking paths throughout the park, as well as on the other side of Highway 41, there's big hiking trails that you can hike into campsites, or hiking trails that are several kilometers uphill through rugged terrain. I have not done those, but I hear they're beautiful, as well as there are rock climbers that come and climb up the rock. You do need a permit for rock climbing, and there is a rock climbing club that comes. And quite often when you're sitting at the beach, you can see the rock climbers climbing up, which is really a neat experience. So there's signs all over the park marking walking trails, whether it's to the gift shop, whether it's to the boat. During COVID, they don't have it this year, but normally there's a tour boat that will take you on a tour of the lake and give you the ins and outs of what it is, the history, as well as a boat that will take you over to the rock so you can climb up the pathway up to the top of the rock. So right here is the visitor center. It's closed right now because of COVID, but in there is a really great building filled with different animals that the park has. It's filled with the history of the park, some artifacts from the old inn. It's really fun. It's a great place for kids. My kids would come here every time we're here if they could. This year they were disappointed it was closed, but just for safety's sake, it has to be closed. But it's a whole wealth of knowledge in there, and it's really fun. Over here is what used to be an old schoolhouse, and the schoolhouse used to be further up the lake. Flora McDonald was a school teacher and she hated it, but she bought the old schoolhouse that she taught in. She had it moved across the ice of the lake in the wintertime, and put here. And what it is now is it's the Greystones gift shop, and they sell t-shirts and sweatshirts and different things, to some essentials if you've maybe forgot them in the park. If you're looking for the type of campsite where you can camp and you're camping on beautiful grass, this is not the place for you. Here at Bon Echo, as you can see, the campsites are all dirt, soil covered with pine needles. So this is the only vacation where you get your pedicure after vacation. So right behind me is the lagoon. It is the place in the park where there's the boat launch. You can rent, over my shoulder you can see it, you can rent canoes, kayaks, and paddle boards. So that's kind of where all the boating activities come in and out of. Here we are, walking one of the paths to the beach. This is one of the 3 beaches at Bon Echo Park. This is the South Beach, so it looks onto South Masna. Over here is day use beach, so when you come in for the day you can go over there, and there's some bathrooms and showers and whatnot. There is a little dog beach, so there's an off-leash part that you can do with your dog. Now it is about 8 o'clock here, 8:30 at night. There's some people sleeping. Maybe I wish I was sleeping. There's some people swimming, as well as there's a North Beach up in the sawmill area of the campground. Looks over the rock. It's really beautiful. So there you have it, my mini tour of a very large park, Bon Echo Provincial Park. Have a great day.